There we go.
Are we in? Hmm.
Yes, we're in. Hello,
Oh,
everybody. I'm John. This is Colin.
it is. And this is John. And
Over
I'm
there.
Colin.
No, no, no. I thought I was Colin. You're John.
You was John today. Yes. See, I was worried about this yesterday, because the fact that you might not be John today. Anyway,
Ah, well, see, that
it's good.
brings me to a really
Good.
good point. You know what today is? Today's a very special day, Colin. You know what today is?
Yes, I
Very
do.
special day.
It's just remind me.
Today is yesterday's tomorrow that we were so worried about. That we're here today, and we're not that worried because we're already here today.
That makes sense. That makes so much sense on so many levels.
Yep. Today
It's
is yesterday's tomorrow that we were
today is
so
yesterday.
stressed about.
Yeah.
We
Yeah. It
made
didn't
it.
turn out as bad, did it? It
No,
didn't
we
turn out as
made
bad
it.
as yesterday we thought today was going to be.
100%. That's it.
And here we are.
Yep.
So
Here we are.
basically, we're trying to stay in the moment then. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. I mean, if you're so stressed um, about the past, you're never going to look forward to the future. And if you're always worried about the future, then you're never going to enjoy right now.
Yeah.
So,
See, this is the age-old issue that pessimists and optimists have argued about throughout the years. What's it going to be like? Tomorrow's going to
mm,
be as bad as it was yesterday, and blah 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 blah.
yep.
And the optimist will say, yeah, but it's going to be so much better. So they're both right, because if that's the way they're going to march forward in time to tomorrow, that's what
Mhm.
they're going to get. Because as we know, you always get what you focus on.
That's right. Yep. You always get what you focus on. And if you focus on arguing with someone about how you're right and they're wrong, nobody wins. Right?
No, this is why we always agree that I'm right. So I mean, it works.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. With this stuff, you're going to get a bit of humor. You're always going to get a bit of humor because that's what me and John do best.
Well,
Um, they
not
say that
best.
after
We
is
try.
greatest. Well, when I say best, we're getting there. We're sort of progressively marching forward in the lines of humor. But yeah, so to stick with the existing topic, if you're focusing in the moment, that's going to benefit you from the start. Because if you always focus on the moment, you're not worrying about tomorrow. You're not complaining about yesterday because yesterday can be good or bad. Tomorrow can be good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about noticing what is here.
Mm-hmm.
People worry so much about, well, I've got this bill coming in at the end of the week. And it's always good to notice the stuff that's coming in,
Oh
stuff
yeah.
that you can deal with. Because, I mean, we're not saying don't worry about something.
Right.
Saying if it's something that can be gone around, over, under, or through, then we need to notice it's there to give us
Right.
the ability to deal with it.
Right. That does raise another point that you said that you're not complaining about the bills that are coming, this and that. Um, there's been some talk recently on social media, Facebook, YouTube, things like that, of people bringing mention to it, and it's been going on for decades, but people bringing mention to it once again that if you want to overcome depression and anxiety and stressing about your bills or whatever, that it's time to stop, take a breath, and take inventory of the things that you can be grateful for because many of these things are so small that it's easy to kind of overlook them, right?
Yeah, yeah. Gratitude all the way. Yeah.
Right, but if you can take an inventoried itemized list of what you're grateful for and you can visit that every day, then again, you get what you focus on, right? You're focusing on gratitude versus negativity and complaints. And when you're focused on gratitude, that's the results that you're going to put out in the world and that's what you're going to produce.
It's amazing how when we do focus on gratitude, as you said, the small things,
Hmm.
it's amazing how it starts to snowball. When you start noticing these small things that you can be grateful for, it's amazing how many more things you think of. Well, yes,
Yeah,
this happened and that happened and this happened.
yeah.
But people miss out because they don't start looking for the things to be grateful for. They're too
Hmm.
busy doing the whole time traveling thing, whether it's forward or it's backward.
Right.
And they do that. I mean, it was
I
said
do.
that, yeah, well, I suppose to be fair, we're all guilty of it. I mean, it was
Yeah.
only recently that I hit sort of bit of a downward spiral.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing how the words that you use when you're talking to yourself will impact how you're going to feel and what it is that you're going to do. Because
Yes.
let's be fair, you can't get depressed. Well, I suppose some people might because they've got it off to a fine art form. But as a rule of thumb, you can't get depressed about tomorrow. You can only experience anxiety about tomorrow.
Right.
But yesterday, you can't experience anxiety about yesterday. You can get depressed over yesterday. So, in theory, what we're saying here is if you wanted to stop being anxious and if you wanted to stop getting depressed,
Mm-hmm.
you'd need what I heard once described as an evolutionary downgrade. You'd need to
That's
take the
interesting.
imagination out of here. You'd
Mm-hmm.
have to take memory out of here. Then you
Okay.
wouldn't be able to worry and you wouldn't be able to get anxious and depressed.
Interesting.
Food for
Now,
thought.
if we did that, now, is there any real value, do you think? Is there any real value in removing that capability from us? Or would it be of more value for us to learn to control that? Because, I mean, being anxious about dangerous things is a great example.
Oh,
Um, being anxious about something dangerous that's coming next week, say you owe, oh, you borrowed money from a bookie and he's coming to break your legs next week. You know, you have good cause to be a little anxious about that, right?
yeah.
So
I mean,
maybe there's value in it, but I don't know that I don't know if removing it would be the solution. What if it's like reframing it and learning to control it better, to regulate maybe?
okay. There's 2 points here. Firstly, I want to say that, I mean, if you take it back in time, if
Hmm.
you didn't experience the anxiety or let's call it worry about something,
Hmm.
and the saber-toothed tiger comes to eat you for dinner, and you're looking at it thinking, well, I don't give a shit. It's just a tiger. You're the one that's going to get eaten. Now, if you see that and think, oh, shit, what could happen here? And away you go on your toes, you're the one that's going to survive. So, I mean, it does have its uses.
Right.
But to sort of flip that as well a little bit,
Okay.
when we're talking about going into the future,
Hmm.
if we had that evolutionary downgrade, you wouldn't be able to get excited. You've got to be able to think into the
True.
future. So it's about using that ability to quote time travel, unquote, go into the future, but do it with a better frame of mind. Try to look. I mean, I've always said this to my kids, if you're going to go and step into the future,
Hmm.
see it as happening good rather than see it as happening bad.
Right.
Because it hasn't happened yet. So it could go
Exactly.
either way. But if I'm going to look at the future, I'm going to see it working out well.
Hmm.
Food for
Now,
thought.
now,
Food for thought.
this also leads into, and I put this in my book years and years ago. This leads into the whole process, very well established mind mapping type of thing. That whatever mindset you have, whatever thought process, whatever your attitude is, will directly impact the results that you produce. If you have a poor attitude, you're going to produce poor results, right? You're going to come into it going, "Oh, it doesn't work out for me. Oh, I suck at this. I never win." Blah 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 blah. Well, these are going to be the attitude that you bring to the table, and that attitude produces the result that you have done. If
Mm.
you come in with a winning attitude, like, it's going to work this time, right? Or even better yet, it worked great last time. It's going to be even better this time. Whatever that attitude coming in is going to affect the result that you produce. And that last point is very important because it's it affects the continued approach for things that you continue to do, right? Because what's
Yep.
that old saying? Real success is going from failure to failure to failure to success, right? Um, right? With that, what is
I've
it?
come
Going
across
from
that. I like that. I've got to write that down. So real success is going
it's an
from.
old saying. It's I forget who said it. It was um, success is going from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I
Right?
mean,
It has something to do with that mindset. It's something like it doesn't matter if it worked out before. I'm going to come at it with a positive attitude now.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if I failed before. Doesn't matter if it succeeded before. Right now, I'm in charge of this moment. In this moment, I can be happy and positive.
So it's the age-old thing about a positive perspective. I mean, I mentioned a few moments ago the difference between like optimists and pessimists. You've got a third group, group. Can't think of another word. Can't think of another word. And I'm the word guy. Right. So you got your optimists, your pessimists, and then in the middle you got what people refer to as the realists. Now the thing is, a pessimist, if it goes pear-shaped, is always going to be right. Whereas an optimist, if you say, right, it's going to work out tomorrow, it's going to work out tomorrow, you get to tomorrow and it doesn't work out. You can always say, but it might work out tomorrow.
Right, because
You
a
can always
pessimist,
keep going because you're being optimistic. Whereas a pessimist, they're not even enjoying the, I nearly said a bad word then, they're not even enjoying the journey.
right,
Because, I mean, who was it said? I think it was Earl Nightingale. He said that there's a percentage of the population out there that go through life in a lockstep fashion with their legs and arms tied together, hoping to make it safely to death. You've got to have stuff to look forward to. If you're looking forward and seeing it all work out bad, what's the point in life?
there it is.
What is the point in life?
I like that. That the pessimist is, even if the pessimist fails, they're right. But if the optimist fails, he just isn't right yet.
He isn't right yet, and he's going to move forward.
He's still going.
With that passion. He's got a reason to keep going.
But this is the attitude I put in the book, and this is what I wrote about, was that if you've tried something, even if you have no prior experience, if you've tried something and then it didn't work, the next attempt, most people, the next attempt that come in on for most people will let that failure, that previous failure, color their mindset for the next attempt, which then puts them at a higher odds the next time for the next failure and the next failure and the next failure. And it becomes a snowball thing that just continuously keeps getting worse, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you reframe that and you try something new and you succeed and you want to try again, you have that success backing you up and you're like, I've got a better attitude, and you get even better results and even better results and even better results. And it just keeps happening.
So when you talk about reframing, what are we actually talking about here?
I'm talking about no matter what, when you try it once, whether it fails or succeeds is irrelevant. That's the past. Okay. It had the reframing of this is that the mindset should be that even if this thing failed, I'm still going to come at the next attempt with a positive. I can absolutely get this done. All I did, the last thing failed because I didn't find the right way to do it. This time I'm trying a different way. So the last time has nothing to do with it because I'm doing it a different way.
Right.
It has absolutely nothing to do with it. Even if it failed or succeeded, I'm doing it new right now.
See, there's a school of thought that says you only really fail when you stop trying.
Yes.
And I sort of adhere to that school of thought. You know, you can keep going, and say, well, you know, it actually failed because it didn't work out. And all you can actually say then is that it only actually fails if you stop trying for it. Because there might be a different perspective to be taken when we're talking about reframing. There might be more resources that we can bring to the table. Because let's be fair, 9 times out of 10, the reason anything doesn't work out how we wanted it to work out was because we've got a lack of resources on some level, whether that resource be our perspective.
Yeah, or resourcefulness.
Or resourcefulness, yeah. I mean,
maybe not resources, but resourceful. Because I don't know about you, if I'm having a hard time paying like my rent for 1 month, I can go out and be resourceful, and I can find a way to fix that problem. Depending on how badly I want it fixed, I can find a way to fix that problem, right?
Yeah.
So money's not really the honest factor, I don't think, or time.
Right. See, I came across a similar quote many, many moons ago because I've been looking into this shit for so long, since God was a boy, since Moses was still in diapers.
Old man.
Oh yeah, the
Old
old
man.
seed. What's going on? I can't. But the point being, it's very easy for people to do the whole play on words thing and say, well, it's not the resources that you're lacking, it's the resourcefulness.
Yeah,
The ability to be resourceful is a resource.
it is. Absolutely.
This is the point. This is the point. So it's all down to resources. People can bandy these words about. I mean, I think Tony Robbins said, well, it's not resource, it's resourcefulness. Hang on a minute, Tony, if you're watching this, not that you're going to. It's only me and Mr. Powell here. So you're not going to be watching as mere mortals. But the point being,
us mere mortals here on Earth, from his side down on Mount Olympus.
IQ of plankton and pond life, etc. But the point being, I mean, this is important. Resourcefulness is a resource. Resourcefulness can be developed.
It is.
In yourself, in the next guy, in the next lady. But you got to be careful not to start quoting genders, otherwise we fall foul of the whole.
Oh my goodness!
I can't even remember the letters, the amount of letters and stuff that they got out there for different genders, etc. Let's not go down that road.
No.
No, that's what she said. He, they,
someone said it.
Something, a person, place, thing, entity, idea. Right, so we sort of went off track a little bit. So yeah, resourcefulness, resourceful, resources. If we've got the ability to keep going no matter what the circumstances are.
Mm-hmm.
If we can dig deep enough inside, whether it's in your heart, whether it's in your head, if you can dig deep enough and find the strength to keep going, maybe that thing that you're trying to be successful at is just around the corner. And when we talk about success, we're not talking about riches. We're not talking about having the big house, the car. Being successful is the ability to do a bit of wallpapering.
Yeah.
Anything that you can set out to do that you get done, that is success.
Yes.
And that's what we're saying here. That is what we're saying, because success just means completing a task.
That's it.
And if you break those tasks down, or you break that big mountain down into little tiny tasks, one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Softly catch a monkey. Eat the elephant a bite at a time. Incremental steps.
Yep. I like that. And I do like that you brought up that it's not about money, because too much of the world now is all about monetization and transactional thinking. Those two things are absolutely destroying society. At least here in Western culture, it is. I don't know about what it is over in Europe where you are, but
yeah, we've got culture as well. We've got a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure you got culture.
Just a little bit. Just a little tiny weedy bit.
Yeah. It's about the thickness of a tea bag.
That's the one. That's the one. There it is.
One. Now, so people have gone askew of what success actually should mean. I mean, maybe everyone's got a different definition, which is fine. Yeah. But success should not mean what kind of car is parked in your garage, or even what kind of garage you have, right? Or don't have.
They're tying success in with standard.
Yeah.
Which is totally, it's a misnomer. It really is, because success at its essence, at its basic, is a completed task. Whatever that task is. That's
exactly.
Success.
And I think where the disconnect happened originally, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm married, I'm wrong all the time, but yeah. So I think where the disconnect started was the hyper fixation on the opinions of other people, right? That we wanted to keep up with the Joneses. We wanted to have the career that impressed the Joneses, or impressed the neighbors, or our parents, or in-laws, whatever. We wanted to have the amount of money that we could buy the next Escalade car, whatever, blah, 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 XL version thing, to impress people when we go pick up the kids from soccer practice. Want to wear the nicest clothes at church so people think, oh, I'm a good person, blah, 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 right? And like, I'll give you a good example for that. I used to know a guy many years ago that would wear like nice clothes. He would go to the church and he would say, oh yeah, I'm this, I'm that, I'm blah, 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 blah. And then he would go out of the church and walk around the corner and hide behind the corner to smoke his cigarette. Right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
yeah.
problem. Like, you know what? Have your cigarette, right?
Yeah,
Who cares, right?
yeah.
But he was so deeply concerned with the thoughts and opinions and views of other people and how they viewed him
Mm,
that he couldn't honestly have his little vice.
okay.
We all have them. We all have vices,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? But he
I do
couldn't
too much too.
honestly have his vice because he was ashamed of what other people think.
Right.
Not ashamed of himself, not ashamed of the vice, not ashamed of his own process at all. It
Yeah,
was 100% based on what someone else thought of him,
yeah.
right? And
Which,
that
oh,
hyperfixation, I think, is where we started down the path of success must mean this, because then you're keeping up with the Joneses. You have the best career. You have people
mhm,
think of you highly like this. You have the most money. You have this. You have that. Like, I think that's kind of the foundation of where it went off the rails.
okay. I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, the stuff that you're bringing to the table here is great content. I love it, and it's so valid in so many areas. But a little bit like not, but I don't like to use the word but because that sort of negates anything before it.
I'm talking about
And I
the
would
one
also
T or
add,
the double T's.
oh,
Little childish humor, folks. Little
step
childish.
away from the butts. Step away from the butts. Let's not go there. Okay,
I was
Tom.
gonna make a butt joke, but
Oh, but. That'd be the no, I'm not. No. Right. Okay. Opinions. You're
don't
saying
go down
concerned about
childish
opinions.
lane.
Yeah, I'm back in, back on track, back on. We're focused. We're going in a straight line.
That's right.
Right. Opinions and being concerned about other people's opinions.
Speaking of
You
butts,
know, sorry.
speaking of butts, what's that old saying?
Speaking of but,
Everyone's got an asshole, just like an opinion.
yes, that's the one. That's the one. And some people's opinions does come out. Let's no. We're not.
And
Right. Okay.
just like the buttholes, they should
Okay.
be frequently examined and washed regularly and cleaned. Like your opinion should be cleaned and examined regularly.
This reminds me of a song that goes deep and back into the past, deep into the dark depths of the past, and it goes, "Oh no, John, no, John, no, John, no, no, just no on so many
Oh,
levels."
okay.
Right, let's bring a bit of British culture in here. Right, let's bring back. Okay, so you mentioned opinions and about people being overly concerned about people's opinions. Yet again, I think we're a little bit stepping back into standards. You know, we want to keep up with the Joneses.
Mm,
We've set them above us, not necessarily their opinions, but where opinions are useful, I find, is we tend to do more for other people than we will for ourselves.
yes.
So other people's opinions are useful.
Hmm.
It's like, I mean, I've worked with people and I make them accountable for what it is that they've said they're going to do.
Hmm.
And they will do the thing
Okay.
because they're concerned of somebody else's opinion. So that works in
Right.
our favor sometimes. It's like
Right.
if I say I'm going to do something and I'll phone you up and say, John, you know, you need to make me accountable for this because I know that you'll chase me, you'll kick my, and then it said but I'm not going to say but, you'll kick my butt and say, look, did you get this done?
Right.
But I will get it done because I've said to you, I will get it done.
Right. And I don't need to
So
hassle you every 6 months to get it done.
probably nine, probably
I
every 9 months,
gotcha.
but we are getting there slowly but surely. So yes, I would say that being valuing, let's say, rather
Hmm.
than adhering to other people's opinions. When we value other people's opinions, it can work in our favor.
Well,
So you
I think that's a dangerous slope, though,
okay?
because so let me see if I can put this in a context that I'm familiar with that works for me.
Okay.
Um, I grew up in kind of one of those households where like it was not a good environment, right? There was a little bit
Yeah,
of abuse. There was all kinds of stuff. Like it was not a great environment. So um,
you covered this in your book, didn't you?
I
Briefly.
did, yes, I did. Um, but one of the hardest things, and I still struggle. It's taken me my entire life long, and I'm still doing it. One of the things that I struggled with was that when I was a child, I listened to the opinions of others, and I let that be the value proposition for my own self-worth.
Okay.
Okay. And then I spent most of my life believing that I didn't have value based
Right.
on the toxicity of those people's opinions early in my life, right? So that
Right. So
carries
you
my whole
adopted
life.
some of those. You adopted some of those opinions.
Right. And then the danger came when I started dealing with new people in
Okay.
life. I would gravitate more towards the familiar, not
Oh,
really the
yes.
positive, but the familiar.
Yeah.
And the familiar was toxic and negative and depriving and
Mm,
abusive.
yeah.
But I would gravitate towards that because that was the familiar, not because it was the healthy and positive.
Yeah. Because it's better
Right?
the devil you know. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that it's a slippery slope to tell people that we should value the opinions of others. I think
Right.
we should value constructive criticism.
There you go. I was going to say
But
value the opinions of other people if they're in a positive vein.
exactly.
If they're in
The
a
only
negative, see, we're
thing
back to the optimist and the pessimist again.
exactly.
Is it right
Um,
back again?
but there is value. I should point this out. This is very important. There is value in failure. There's value in toxicity. There's value in people that want to abuse you and mistreat you and use you. There's
Mm,
value in that too. And I'll give you a great example of this.
yeah.
I was dealing with somebody, I don't know, a few months ago that was pretty toxic. Really, I mean, I would almost say like borderline psychopathic, pretty toxic, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I thought, holy shit, like there's no way I'm like this guy's like what he's doing. This is terrible, blah blah blah. But what he did was was on an extreme scale of a few things that I noticed in myself that I was doing on a very minimal scale, but I was doing the same things just on a much more minimal scale than what this guy was doing on an extreme scale. And it
Okay.
made those red flags for me to say, hey, pay attention to this, John. You're doing this too.
Yeah.
This is a space for you to improve upon,
Yeah.
right?
So
So
he was
out of
like
that
a mirror,
toxicity,
but a
yeah,
distorted mirror. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like that. I like that.
yeah. So there's value there. There's certainly no value in just dismissing it offhand entirely. There's value in taking something that's horribly negative and learning something from it,
Yeah.
but don't
Yeah.
internalize it.
No. So any negativity, any kind of perceived, let's say, failure,
Mhm.
there's always a lesson that can be learned from it.
Right. There's
I
something.
think it was I think it was Napoleon Hill said way back when, because you know what I'm like with Napoleon Hill. He's like, it's my Bible. But he said every failure or every negativity brings with it the seed of an equivalent benefit.
Right.
And I think that is so true. If we just step back and think about things from that perspective,
Mhm.
what is the positive that I can take from this situation?
Yeah.
But people don't. The situation hits them head on. Oh, it's so bad. No, no, this is this.
Right.
It's not.
They just internalize it. They personalize it, and it has nothing to do with you personally.
No.
When someone comes up to you and they're I don't know they're giving you the bird in traffic, they're flipping you off, or like fuck you, man, blah 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 blah, like all these things.
Yeah.
That's a reflection of what's going on in their head, in their struggle, in their daily life. It's
Yeah.
not you, right? Even if you made an honest mistake, maybe you did cut them off and you didn't notice them and you cut them, whatever, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even if you were at fault for something,
Yeah.
their loss of control is 100% what's going on with their internal struggles
Oh
and
yeah.
not with your actions or you as a person or anything to do with you at all.
It's
So
too
when you
easy to
learn this,
judge.
you learn grace for other people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too easy to judge because we don't actually know what's going on in their heads.
Right.
When you say this person cuts you up at the lights, maybe they're on the way to the hospital. They've got a
Who
loved one
knows?
that's like in critical care unit or whatever. You
Maybe
know,
they just got done fighting with their spouse. They're upset they weren't paying good enough attention and they just didn't see you.
exactly. The point I think we're both trying to make here is when you're in a situation where it's less than convivial, it's less than helpful, it's less than positive. The
Mhm.
question to ask is what could be going on here?
Yeah.
What is this person going through that's causing them to behave in the way they're behaving?
And if
And
you
I think
remember
if we
the
could
book,
step into that, yeah, if you
remember the
read
line
John's
in the
book,
book I put? You remember what else could this mean?
yes, yes. I've got it. I've got it on the. It's on the top shelf, John. It's on the top shelf of your book. It's one of
Oh,
those
is it?
things.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I see it.
Yes, there it is. You should have posted a. You should have posted a link up. Strangely enough, but
Yeah,
maybe we can
I don't think I have it. I can take a look in the system here. I don't think I have a link for it, but I can put the link in the
Should.
video description.
You
I can put
should.
that there.
Because I mean, I thought I understood mindsets. I mean, we go into things and we study and we throw ourselves into it, totally immersed and all the rest of it.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
reading through your book, you know, there's certain perspectives that you take. You come from a different direction. There's always something
Sure.
new to learn, especially when it's based on somebody else's experience. Something else you can
Mm.
take on board and say, okay, so maybe this would work for me in this situation, or
Mhm.
where's parallel that I can use that's going to help me bring this to the table and improve my life on some level.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, I can
Well,
put that in there. We probably
good.
should wrap this up though. We're sitting at about a
Yeah,
30 minutes.
good
Uh,
enough.
but yeah, I think it's been a pretty good session. We could probably do this more often. What do you think, Mr. Colin?
Well,
What's up?
what do I think? I like to think often, at least twice a day. I find it useful. So yeah, let's do it. Let's do
Only
it.
twice though. Don't want to overdo things.
Try anything once, twice for like it. That's my rule of thumb.
There you go.
Right. I shall leave you to
Sure.
finish it off then, John, and round it up. And
Oh no, we're rounded up. I think we're rounding off the square corners to fit in the triangle hole, right?
this is processing. Processing. Yes, could be right. Could be right, buddy. Yeah. 100%.
So yeah, we'll try to come up with some good content for future videos, and um, yeah, I
Thanks for
kind of
watching.
like the idea of actually, I like the idea of coming in here and just having this like a raw, real kind of recording thing, and not really editing too much, and just have an honest representation of a couple guys just chewing the fat about some
Well,
decent
yeah. I mean, it could
topics.
go off in several different directions, but hey, who cares? It's always going to be good stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
All right. Well, join us next time, folks. I'll put all the descriptions, all the stuff in the links below.
Yeah.
And any links that Mr. Porter here has.
Miss Moss.
I'll
Yeah.
link all that below. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you next time.
Sounds like a
Cheers.
plan. Cheers.